So we survived. We survived our first year with an elementary, middle school, and high school, our first time ever in each of those categories. And we did it. I am excited to share how it went, all the good and the bad. It was not pretty, but I'm here to share it all with you today. Hi, my name is Trisha and I'm at Juicebox Homeschool, and today I'm just going to give a run through of how our school has been going so far as we're finishing up the first term. It started off rough. This year started off rough for so many reasons. I took some time to reflect on why was it so rough this year. I think in years past, some have been really great, smooth starts. It kind of took me back to when I was bringing in my second child into our homeschool, and when I felt like there was a lot of newness, there was a lot of juggling, just newness for me, and being someone who is not comfortable with quick changes and big changes, it usually takes me a minute to get settled and get used to finding your rhythm and then getting used to that. This year, I have a third grader, a sixth grader, and a ninth grader. So I had, I told myself, give yourself 2 weeks or 2 months to acclimate to all these changes, because when I took a step back, I was able to give myself more grace, thinking, this is the first time I have a brand new middle schooler and a brand new high schooler. And those are big changes as far as quantity of work and quality of work expected. I think as homeschool moms, typically we're hard on ourselves, right? We want to give the best for our kids. We want to do the best we can for our kids. I was having the struggle of, I want to do best by them. I want them to help set them up for success for middle school and high school. I want to have high expectations for them. I want them to have high expectations for themselves. But I'm also a homeschool mom. I also want to embrace flexibility, freedom, the joy of learning, and all of that. I think I was just struggling between those two areas. And I come from a background of college is expected. Even that is, just looking at the college requirements and probably putting more stress on myself than necessary. I think I took the expectations and raised it a level. We want to go above and beyond. And so I think it just took me some time to figure out what we wanted it to look like. And as I was looking at all that's coming from my oldest child, my ninth grader, I was naturally starting to think about my sixth grader and starting to worry about how is he going to be prepared for all of these things in ninth grade. It's a big jump from sixth to ninth grade. And so I think I jumped the gun, panicked a little bit with my middle child, thinking, we need to ramp middle school up. And I was just putting a lot of unnecessary stress on myself of how we run the homeschool. And I think because as homeschool moms, we have a lot of say, we have a lot of ownership over how we run things in our homeschool, how we structure it, and how we kind of set the temperature for the days, right? And so I think with all of that, we can easily affect our children. I had to tell myself a lot of self-talking in the morning and praying with the Lord and just asking for a peace and a contentment, and trusting that all that we've been doing, all the work that we've been doing, especially with my oldest through elementary and middle school, has done a lot to prepare for the season. And there's nothing really new that I need to be doing. It's just kind of taking it to the next step. And it's not a big jump. It's not as big of a jump as I perceived it to be. That was, I think, a big part of why the beginning of the year was so hard for me, because of all of that adjustment and mental wrestling. I just really hope that if you are leading a child through middle school or high school for the first time too, I hope that you hear my heart on this. It is a lot, and it's because we care so much, right? So let me just talk about our first few weeks into high school for a minute. It was challenging, as I mentioned, because of me. My daughter is taking 4 online, mostly live online courses. We are, working with an instructor, which is new to us, learning their expectations, reading over their syllabus, and trying to understand, how their system works, how they prefer to structure their course. That was new. That was exciting. My daughter naturally is a planner and very diligent. She likes to get her work done early. She likes to do well, and she's very self-motivated. I didn't have to worry too much about her actually doing the work. It was more about walking her through how to take more ownership over her own planner, how to not just do the assignments and check off the boxes, but there's the studying in between because it's run a lot like a college course where it's live classes online twice a week, but the other days it's up to you how you spend your time. Just kind of walking her through that, how to set up her week without that daily math lesson. And so she would have 2 live math classes and she would finish all the assignment. So we had to go over how to study for the weekly math quizzes that her teacher would offer. So that was a new process for her and learning how to manage her weeks. Time management was and is a big lesson, an ongoing thing that we're working on for all of her courses because of this. So for my 6th grader and my 3rd grader, we're pretty much operating the same way that we have been for the last few years, where they'll do math and language arts independently, but we'll do most of the other subjects together communally. So science, history, art, we will do those subjects, the 3 of us, me and my 2 little ones. The fact that my 3rd and 6th graders' rhythm has stayed relatively consistent, the curriculum and just the flow of things, that has helped a lot with keeping stability in what has been a more challenging than usual year. Also, my 3rd grader has grown so much in her reading and writing abilities. That actually has been really helpful in that she is so independent. It's the first year where I feel like they really need me a lot less. Just simple things like reading directions and being able to start on an assignment without needing me right there for everything has been a big change. So the help is still needed, but it's in a different light. It's just not as urgent or immediate, like where I need to be there to even just get them started. Another thing that has been consistent is our morning routine. We still do a meeting every morning with all of us together, and that is something that I did have to fight for. My oldest was concerned that her time needed to be utilized elsewhere. So there have been a couple discussions that I think were really worthy. I got to hear her heart about her worries of time management, and she was able to hear my heart of how important I think it is to study together. We still do our Bible study, habit study, and some of the beauty subjects. We've cut down though because of her concern. I've had to go through what I wanted to do for a morning time and go through that list and pick and choose what would be so beneficial for her and for the family as a whole, and then what are some things maybe I just do with my younger 2. I don't think I will ever want to sacrifice a morning meeting altogether because I see the fruit of that. I see how important it is, how good it is for all of us to do that. So in place of some of the things she's missing in our morning meeting, I am reading a book with her, and I mentioned this before. I have a collection of books that we have planned for this year, but I'm reading aloud a book with just her, so one-on-one. These titles are all about teen things. Like we just finished Raising a Screen Smart Kid. We're going to be reading, she chose the next book, Teens, Life Skills for Teens. So that's kind of my trade-off with her. We are still having quality time. We are doing something enriching, something that's very relevant to her life stage that she's interested in hearing about. And it's been a really good time, really different kind of discussion than what it is when we're all together as a family. It's a lot more intimate. It's a lot more catered to where she's at, which I appreciate. So I'm really enjoying that, as considering that as part of our morning time as well, but just for her and I. And we only do that 2 to 3 times a week, depending on our schedule. And she is my first kid who wakes up in the morning, so we typically knock out a chapter before the other 2 wake up anyways. One thing that has been a little different with a high schooler is that because she's doing online classes and there is a official start date, those classes would start when they start. What I used to do, I had explained this on Instagram before, is usually do a slow start to the school year. So I would introduce language arts and math core subjects, and then slowly introduce our morning meeting, and then after that our history, science, all the extras in our loop schedule. So starting school didn't feel like such a big undertaking for any of us. I felt like it was really kind to my kids, but also to myself, and just not putting this whole big weight of like, we're starting school and we're doing it all and we're gonna go through everything, and just kind of overwhelm ourselves or burn out after only a week. And so we would always have this nice, calm, slow start to the school year and have time to introduce the new material and get excited and let them have that room for margin. But this year, because my high schooler had those hard start dates with her online courses, we still did that with the slow start with my younger 2, but my high schooler did have to just kind of jump all in, which is why I think it added to the pressure of we got to get going. I got to make sure I'm on top of all this at the very beginning. So now I'll just go through some of the curriculum, highlight some things that have been working well or some things we haven't even started yet. So I've talked about all the curriculum we were planning to use at the start of the year, and I will link those down below in the description if you want to check those out. The first thing I want to talk about is history. This might not be a surprise to you, but history is going so well. We really love Beautiful Feet books. We've used so many of their literature packs, and the books are really great. We are doing notebooking, and Beautiful Feet's teacher guide always comes, just so you know, always has a ton of ideas, hands-on activities, depending on the curriculum, map work, field trip ideas, photographs to look at, a rabbit trail section of a whole list of books in addition to the literature pack that you can take a look and see if your library has those books just for further reading. There are recipes. There's a lot of websites, videos. There are so many options in the Beautiful Feet Guides teacher books. And early American history, we're doing the intermediate level, grades 4 through 6, is no exception. There are a lot of options, and I'm over the whole follow a curriculum to the T. So I welcome having all these options. I just pick and choose what seems doable and enjoyable and relevant to what we want to do and pull those into my homeschool planner. And I just don't do the guilt or, we want to do every single thing that's listed in here. It just takes away the enjoyment for me. And so just pick and choose, guilt-free, and put in what we think will work. We will plan to read all of the books in the literature pack, but anything extra I pull in is what I feel like we can actually do. So that has been going really well for my 3rd and my 6th grader. And for my high schooler, I'm using Knotgrass Exploring World History. This is a brand new curriculum to us. I wasn't sure how it was going to go. Anytime we do anything new, there's always a learning curve. I've done a lot of research on it before purchasing. It is pretty much what I expected, and we are loving it so far. It is interesting. The textbook is broken down into very short chapters, and so the reading for her is, she's like, that's it, all the time, which I think she needs at this time with some other subjects that are heavier. And we are using the student review, so it's just like a spiral bound student review book with like 10 questions per chapter about, and so she will take those 10 questions, answer them on her own in a notebook. So we will meet up at some point in the day, every day, and go over those questions and just make sure that she's on track. We are also using the literature portion of Knotgrass. So we are not using those literature books for any kind of credit. It's just for fun. She likes to read. All of my kids really love to read. On the Knotgrass website, they do say you can earn a history credit, a literature credit, and a Bible credit. We're only taking this for a history credit, and we're not doing the other things any other purpose than just to learn. Switching gears to science, my younger two are using Apologias, Exploring Creation with chemistry and physics, and that has been going really well. We have been using Apologia's elementary science curriculum for many years, and I'm glad we waited for this chemistry course until later elementary. So it's like my daughter's, she operates more at a 4th grade level. She's technically a 3rd grader, and then my 6th grader. So I have been tempted to do this chemistry study because it looks really engaging, but I've pushed it off until now. And I really suggest holding off on this chemistry one until a little bit later in elementary school or even early middle school, because it involves higher level thinking and some abstract concepts that I think are hard to grasp if you are homeschooling with younger kids. So I'm very glad we waited. The experiments in this course are so much fun. Looked ahead and there's like explosions and just things that late elementary to middle school will love. We're really enjoying that. We are working through one lesson. It takes us about 2 weeks, which is the suggested schedule. Every 2 weeks we'll finish a lesson, sometimes 3 weeks if it's a busier season. Both of my kids are also using the Apologia notebooks that go with the course, and I have to tell you that it has been a lot better in this season than in the early elementary. So for the early elementary, we did use the notebooks, but it was a lot harder for my kids to fill in some of the blanks, or there was just a lot of space to write and they weren't at the level yet to write so much. But this year, I'm noticing a big change in how they're enjoying their notebooks, how they're utilizing it, excited to fill in the pages and do the crossword puzzle. And there's like mini books and little projects that they have to do within their notebooks. And they're actually really enjoying it a lot more than they did before. Where before we would skip some pages, skip some of the activities. This year is a big difference in they can actually complete a lot of it and on their own. So my high schooler is taking an online honors biology course course with Blue 10 Online, and it's our first time using Blue 10 Online. It was recommended to me by a friend, and she is really loving the course. I am shocked. And science is not my favorite or easiest subject to teach, and I credit her love of science to Apologia because she used that throughout most of elementary school, and then also she took their middle school courses, the general science in 7th grade and the physical science in 8th grade. Those middle school courses are a lot different from the elementary in that they are definitely a step up. They teach study skills. They really handhold the students to take ownership over, how to properly take notes, how to study for an exam, how to keep organized with your time. Like day one, there's a checklist to keep track of your assignments to make sure that you're on track, and walking you through how to write a lab experiment, walking you through how to even start and set up your lab. I think that they do such a great job with the middle school level that while I sometimes listen in on her bio course, I'm very intimidated, but she is doing great. And they have these live study groups that they have to work together on group projects and presentations. And so I'm just really impressed by how well my daughter's doing in this course, and seeing how challenging the material is and how smart her classmates are. It's really encouraging to see where she is with science. So my younger two are continuing on with IEW for their writing, and I have been using IEW for many, many years with all three of my kids, and it's proven with my high schooler, it's proven that it's such a solid curriculum that teaches the structure and the style of writing, and I really appreciate the way that they make it really easy to teach. And this is the first year we're utilizing their online classes for writing, which is different because I've always kind of graded it on my own. The thing that I like about it is that writing, for me anyway, it can be subjective as far as grading it. I love that they have the teacher that they can ask these questions to online. There is still a lot of hand-holding throughout the week, and so they do attend a online class for about 50 minutes, and then they are given their assignment for each day. As a parent, you help them throughout each day. Their assignments, they'll do fix-it grammar, we'll do that together, and then they slowly construct their keyword outline and then their paragraphs. I like that they have parent checks each week, so as part of what they submit, there is a checklist that the parent has to go through and make sure that you've helped your kid with all these little things to make the paragraphs as strong as they can be before they submit it. I do like that we still walk through this together, but I don't have to be the one grading the papers. Like I mentioned before, we have trimmed our morning time a bit. It took a while to build it up to full speed. So what we've agreed upon is our independent Bible study, our cooperative Bible study that we'll do together. We watch World Watch News, our current events program, which is a 10-minute video each day. We will do a read aloud and read one chapter a day, and then we have this like a morning loop basically. So that will include things like nutrition, artist study, hymn study, habit training, things like that. We'll just kind of loop through and get through what we can, so one thing per day. So gone are the days where our morning time can last for 2 hours. We are keeping it to 1 hour maximum, sometimes less depending on the day, but that has helped a lot with our time management and not letting our schedule get out of hand, especially with the elevated coursework that my high schooler is doing. One thing that I thought we were going to be able to add into our morning time but have not is Idlewild's art studies. And I picked this up because I have a full blog post, and if you follow me on Instagram, last year I talked a lot about our Bible study and nature study combo with Idlewild. They have one called the Word Studies, which is their Bible study, and the Organic Studies, which is a nature study. They pair so well together, and I highly recommend it for elementary ages. The nature study especially is more geared towards younger ages, in my opinion. The Word Studies though was enriching for all of us last year. I really enjoyed the simplicity of it. The Word Studies, it's all black and white, which you rarely see anymore. There's no photos or graphics, anything like that, so printing is a breeze. It's just so rich. The language, the scripture, it's just as basic as it can get, but so rich, and it ties in nature lessons into the Bible study. So you would do the organic studies first, which relies heavily on books from the library, and then you would do the Bible studies right after that, and it just tied together so well. So because I love that so much, I can link that below for you with the discount code. I wanted to do their other option, which was the art studies, because I just trust her, Janice, and I loved what she created so far. So because I loved it so much, I thought I would definitely love the art studies as well. As much as I wanted to give that a try, I am not going to be able to fit it in to this year's schoolwork. So my plan is to add it in sometime at the end of next year when we're winding down, or do it throughout the summer. I think it's still worthwhile. I flipped through it. I have the book that goes along with it, and it looks great, and I'm excited to use it, but it's just not going to work for this year because of our current load. I hope you've enjoyed this video of just a rundown of how things have been going. It's my first time just sitting down and chatting about like how it has been going in real time. So give me a thumbs up on this video if you like these kind of updates. I'm happy to say that things have calmed down a bit and the dust has settled a lot. Part of that is based on a lot of self-reflection on my part, and also just seeing how my high schooler has adapted to the situation. And it was a rough start. So like first geometry quiz, I didn't get to share this. First geometry quiz was not to her best ability. She was shocked at her grade, and it wasn't even that bad. But to her, she wasn't used to not having this gold star on her paper. It was a good lesson, and I think that helped her realize I need to study. I actually need to study throughout the week, and that has improved so much over this term. She has raised that grade right away, and I think even logging in to see what the teacher has to say, logging in, checking on updated assignments. Some classes require her to give daily paragraph responses. To see her flourish and adapt so well to these new changes has been very encouraging to me. I think the dust is settling. I think we're finding our rhythm in this new season, and I'm excited to see how the next term will go. So I know I talked a lot about what my high schooler is using, just kind of touched on it. So I will link the 9th grade video here somewhere so you can watch that next if you want to. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.